Hi everyone, welcome to Eden's Secret. Today we are going to be making some Un-Enchanted Roses. As per, well, I'll leave that until the next video. So basically I've got a recipe here for you, but before we read that out, I just want to thank everyone that is going out of their way at the moment to do even more work than they usually do. Great thanks to each and every one of those people. Okay, so this is an Eden's Secret cold process soap recipe, and we're going to start with the oil phase. The measurements for each: it's 250 grams 8.8 ounces of olive oil, 250 grams 8.8 ounces of sunflower oil, 175 grams of coconut oil, that's 6.1 ounces, 175 grams of palm oil, 6.1 ounces, 37 grams of cocoa butter, which is 1.3 ounces, 37 grams of shea butter, which is also 1.3 ounces. If you don't have the cocoa butter and shea butter, don't worry about it. Just add the 37 grams for each onto your coconut oil and onto your palm oil, because they're your solid oils. Right, for the water phase, which is the water and the sodium hydroxide mix, we need 130 grams, which is 4 ounces of sodium hydroxide, and 175 grams, 6 ounces of water. Now you can use up to 291 grams of water, which is 10 ounces, but I like to do a large water discount when I am making soap. So let's mix our lye, shall we? So I have a set of scales here, and I'm just going to turn them on, and I'm using a plastic jug. I'm not going to do this in every single video, I'm just going to do it this once, and I might separate this video off and do it just as a card that you can click on if anybody wants to see how to mix up the lye. So the most important thing is that you put your water in before your sodium hydroxide. So we're going to put 175 grams of water, and it doesn't matter if you go over slightly or just under slightly, but we're going to try to get it spot on. There you go, 175 grams. We're going to tare that, and then we're going to take our sodium hydroxide. As I said, these containers are from B&Q. They're £6 per kilo. Now they do actually do a half size as well, 500 grams. I don't know how much it is. Could be £4. Seems to they've all gone up a pound somehow, because they had their own brand and they were £4.98 for a kilo, and probably £3 for half a kilo. Keep the containers when you finish with them, because as you progress through your soap making journey, you're going to want to buy sodium hydroxide in larger quantities, because this is a little bit more of an expensive way to buy sodium hydroxide. I actually buy it in a 20 kilo bag, and then I dispense the sodium hydroxide into these bottles. I just find it great to be able to pour straight from the bottle into the water. If you're not confident to do that, just take another jug and measure, you know, an empty jug, start again, and then measure your lye into that, and then pour your lye into your water. I'm just going to do it straight into the water. Make sure you have your gloves on, your eye goggles, and a mask. So we need 130 grams of lye. That's it, exactly 130 grams. I was listening to a video. I hate listening to my own voice, but when you're editing, sometimes you hear you hear yourself. And I didn't realise that I say exactly instead of exactly. Does that sound different? Exactly, which is eggs, exactly. Or
is that a bit like where I
exactly.
say uncredible instead of incredible?
Yeah. And I'm saying in the next soap making video, Un-Enchanted instead of enchanted. Similar kind of thing. It's incredible. So take a metal spoon and give your water and lye. Now it's just this point when you're stirring that the fumes are going to rise up, but it's nothing scary. You know, I get so many messages from people saying they're terrified to make soap because of the way everybody talks about lye. Well, it's just not as scary as maybe some people make out it is. It just creates a little bit of fumes, and it heats up, and it does irritate the skin if you get it on the skin. Now when you're stirring like this, make sure you've got long sleeves on, because I have usually you don't see me with long sleeves. That's because I hate wearing long sleeves when I'm making product, and I just think fluff can get in there and all kinds of things. But just for the purposes of this video, mixing up the lye, I have got a cardigan on with long sleeves. Now what is absolutely amazing is the granules that are in there and the fumes that are coming up. The granules can actually stick to your skin and will give you what is called a lye burn. It's like a lye irritation. So because that happens, obviously they could be getting onto this jumper, so make sure you don't rub your face or wipe your eyes or anything with your jumper sleeve. That's really important. Or if you've got long sleeved rubber gloves which will do, just be really careful not to touch your face with that. You know, sometimes people, I don't sweat much, but sometimes people sweat and they want to rub their head or their eyes or whatever with the sleeve of their jumper. I'm just hoping I'm getting the message through not to do that. Anyway, that's it for the lye. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, and I'm going to give it another stir, because if it's not stirred enough, the lye, the sodium hydroxide, can sink down to the bottom of the container, and then you'll end up with a solid block of lye which looks like a frozen lake basically, and then your water sits on the top of it. So that would be no good whatsoever for making soap. It won't, because there's not very much in here, it won't take long for that to cool down. I'll probably use that in about an hour. Okay, so I have a large Pyrex bowl here. The only reason I'm using this is so you can see the oils and butters that I'm putting in there. But generally I'll just put it in a plastic jug and pop it in the microwave. Or you can use a smaller bowl and do a double boiler on your cooker. So we're going to start with our solid oils, and we're going to put 175 grams of palm oil in here. Now, the magic of TV, I have already measured out this. And the same with my coconut oil. So you can see it's nice and soft because it's lovely and warm today. When I get a delivery of coconut oil, I usually keep it in my front porch because the sun shines in there and it softens up your oils. But when it's very hot, you have to take it out because it does melt. Right, we're going to pop in our cocoa butter. So it's 37 grams of cocoa butter and our shea butter. You see, that just makes a lot of jugs there that now all need washing up. So 37 grams of cocoa butter, 37 grams of shea butter. Now let's add our liquid oil. So we're going to tare that, and we're using simple sunflower oil from our local supermarket, and we need to tare again and then add 250 grams, which is 8.8 ounces of sunflower oil. Now I've gone over just a little bit, so what I'm going to do, I've gone over by 5 grams. So I'm just going to leave the scales without tearing, and then I'll pour in our 250 grams of olive oil, but I'll actually just be pouring 245. So once we get to 500, then we know we have the exact right measurement of oils. You know, it's not an exact science, soap making. It's pretty tight, but it's not exact. You know, you do have a little bit of leeway. This is gorgeous extra virgin olive oil. You don't need extra virgin. You can use any old olive oil. Now I've gone over by 4 grams. So I am going to take out until I'm back at 500, and that's it there. So I'm now going to place these either in the microwave or in a double boiler. What is a double boiler? It's a pan of water that you heat up, and then you just pop this on there. Easier to do it in the microwave. So this will probably be melted within 3 minutes. So just do it on 1 minute stints until you're nearly there, and then do it on 30-second stints until it's all melted. So we're fully down to room temperature. It's actually the next day now, and I'm just going to take a temperature check. It's not absolutely necessary to do a temperature check, so it's about 70 degrees in here. That's the oils, and the lye is exactly the same temperature. Fantastic. Right, don't worry about having a temperature gauge, but if you do want to buy one, they're really, really cheap. But you can just feel the side of each container, and you can feel whether it's too hot. The hotter it is, the quicker it's going to come to trace, and it's going to move faster and set thicker and quicker and everything. Okay, so we're going to pour our lye into our oils and blend. Right, that's all of our blending done. Our titanium dioxide added. And you see it has a delicious creamy colour. Of course you can't eat it because it's not food. It's soap. Honestly, I have to tell you a funny story, and I'm sure this has happened to absolutely hundreds of you around the world. But if people ring up and say they're asking, oh, what do you do? Or even if you meet people in person, they say, what do you do for a living? And it's like, oh, I'm a soap maker. And they're saying, oh, you make soup? No, soap. Soup. Soap, you know, what you wash yourself with. Oh, I thought you said soup. It happens all the time. It's hilarious, actually. Right, so what we're going to do, we're just going to allow this to thicken up until it is ready to pipe. I'm not going to be using all of this in here to pipe roses because it'll pipe hundreds probably. I am going to put some in a container that I want to use as soap dough, but I'll do that at the end. I'll pipe the roses with what I've got, and then once I've got enough roses, then I'll just pour this into a container. So we'll just wait until the time is right to do that. Now I am not going to add fragrance to this. I guess you could add Mei Chang if you wanted to, Chinese lemongrass, because that is a very slow mover. Love Spell tends to be quite slow. I can't think of any that seem to reverse the speed, which Love Spell and Mei Chang seem to reverse the acceleration process. There isn't anything else I've got that does that. No, lavender doesn't even do it. So yeah, we'll just be leaving it unscented, and then we'll just scent the soap that we're going to make in the mould. Just look at that delicious soap batter. It's absolutely gorgeous, thick and rich, but it's still not ready to pipe. But it will be, hopefully, in the next half an hour. So I've got far too much soap batter here to make roses with, and as I said, I was going to put some to one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spoon quite a lot of it into this Ziploc bag. And we're going to use that for something else a little bit later on. There's still quite a lot in there. So I'm just going to whisk that down and then just squeeze it together, and that'll create a natural seal in there. It'll stop the air getting in, so it'll be pliable to use when we unmold it. Okay, so we're just about ready. I've got a pin here, piping pin. I'll put a little bit of soap on, and then I'm popping a square of greaseproof paper. Now, excuse me, greaseproof paper is rather slippy, so it can make it difficult. And I'm using the WILTON 61 piping nozzle. It has a nice curve on it. I've never used it before, but I'm hoping what will happen is we'll get some nice curled edges on the top of the rosebuds. Oh yes, lovely curls. And there we are, we have a pretty rosebud. It's not perfect, but you just gently lift it off and place it down. Try to be as gentle as possible because you can destroy the rose. So let's see if we can do a better one. The good thing is roses are all different. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this in the right place. Roses are all different sizes, and so when you're piping them, and just make sure you don't put too much into your piping bag, because that makes it very, very difficult. Let's just see if we can pop a centre on it and see if it looks better with the centre on. Sorry about any background noises, the boys are at home this week. And it's impossible to shut them up. Oh, that one's nice. That looks a lot better with that centre, doesn't it? So let's continue doing that, shall we? The reason I haven't got a glove on my left hand is it's easier to twist the pin without a glove on. I'm not sure I've got enough left in this one to... That was a bit of a disaster, wasn't it? Time to put some more batter into my piping bag because it's nearly out. squeeze a little bit of batter on, press your greaseproof paper, squeeze backwards and forwards, and that just gives it a good thick base for the topping to sit on, because if it's narrow it's just going to fall over. And then twist your pin round, and then start at the bottom, up, curve and down, up, round and down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So I'm using the Wilton 61 tip here to do this, and it really is not the easiest thing to do, and it's very difficult when you're trying to film it. So luckily, because of the coronavirus, Declan is here today to film it for me. So don't put too much in your bag, just a little bit, it's much easier to control. Just continue piping your roses until you've got enough to cover the toppies. Alright, we'll do poo. Stop it. Here we have Un-Enchanted Roses ready for tomorrow's song, which will probably be uploaded in the next few days. I am pretty happy with them, but they're so hard to do, so hard. So hope you enjoyed this bonus video from Eden's Secret, and I'll see you all very soon.